January 17th, which makes it officially the middle of Australian summer. And I'm out here in the myrtle forest looking for fungi. Now, you might think summertime fungi, not really a thing that happens, but I have it on good authority that there is some fungi about from two different sources, one of them being my mate Tim Grimsey. I reached out to Tim because he's the man who knows about fungi, and I needed to test out NiSi's new close-up lens. It's something I bought over the Christmas period, and I haven't had an opportunity to really give it a go. Probably the most difficult thing is tracking down the fungi, and that means I've got to go off track. Now, Tim said you've really got to know where to look, and obviously that's not on track. Found my first one. Well, let's say it's not an exciting bit of fungus, but it's in perfect condition. It's this really subtle grey and brown. So this is it, and you can just get some really nice detail there with a beautiful bokeh behind. First thing I need to do is actually go into portrait mode. There you are. Get that one out of the way. Come a little bit closer. So I've got my basic composition. I could potentially move just a little bit over. That way there is full separation. And I do like the way the front one is just about to kiss the back one, both on the left-hand side and near the top. One of the most important pieces of equipment you can get. Of course, you should probably put this in before you set up. It's important to remember that macro photography is no different to landscape photography. You still need to compose the scene, you still need to make sure all the elements are there, that nothing's getting in the way, that every component that you see on the ground here works in well. And what I've got here is this little piece of bark here, which is a leading line towards the fungus. And that continues through to behind it where the second mushroom is. It looks like we've got a little hitchhiker here, so I'm gonna take that. I really see the value of focus stacking when you're dealing with things this small. Focused on each one, and I'll focus stack those when I get home. And I'll give you a look at that picture now. That's a great first shot, but let's go find something else. It just takes one shot to begin to attune yourself to what's going on around you. But I need to head back up to the track now because I think the better fungi is waiting up there. Just have to find my way out of here. I can see how people get lost. If there's one thing I can say about fungi, it likes awkward places. Get a load of this. You may not get a sense of the scale, but it's up that embankment there and it's about my head height. Work something out. I can see actually quite a few. This could be really nice. So I've got my setup. Wow, it's insane. Got the camera down pretty low. I've got a light up here shining into where the mushroom is. Behind the camera there is a little mushroom. It took such an effort to get this up and running. Two of the legs, I swear, are hanging on by just a twig or two. I think I'm in AV IM2, so I'll switch that over to manual. There we go. Oh yeah, that's really nice. So 1/5 of a second. Get my shutter release in again. Really, really important. At least I can see what I'm doing this time. just behind there's these tiny little baby ones as well. So I'm going to adjust the composition so we can get everything in as best as I can. Slightly off to the side, I think. Being macro, it's really important that you get a wider depth of field as possible. So I'm sitting on f14 and that should give me enough range so that if I need to focus behind and do a focus stack, then I've got enough in focus area that's common ground to work with in the studio. I'm going to do a quick test shot. The front of the mushroom is in perfect focus, of course. The stem is not, and behind is even worse. I might just give it a quick go at f25 or something and see how that goes. And I can also focus just behind to maximize that depth of field. Ah, that's really lovely. So the entire top part of the mushroom is in focus. So I'll do another focus point on the stem and then I'll do a focus on the mushrooms behind. I won't bore you with every step of the way. So here's the shot. You know, when you see that very first burst of colour off in your peripheral vision, you have to stop. You got to take the shot because it could be your last. If we just move along to the right and then up here, all the way down, there's these bursts of colour all the way down to the floor of the trail. So what do? Do I continue? Do I go, that's enough of the orange, I want to find some blue? I don't have to be anywhere today. This is my day. And I'm going to spend just that little bit more time looking for something special. I did find just now this really amazing composition. I might even be able to get out the close-up lens from NiSi, but I also want to show you what I used to use. Out of that whole sea of orange, I focused on the tiniest of mushrooms. How do I describe it? It's perfectly in the middle of a spider web, which is perfectly round. It looks like it's sitting in a little cave. And what I really love is all these spikes at the top. I don't have the mushroom dead center. I think we need to tell a bit more of a story than here's a mushroom in a hole. And so this stick that's sitting up on the side and there's a little bit of green, to me, that makes it look big, like our size. And it looks like there's a really eerie but curious cave to go wandering into. I gave myself a Christmas present. NiSi were having this great sale and I picked up the close-up lens. The idea is you get this and mount it onto your filter ring of your lens. Now, these are designed specifically for a telephoto lens and this works best with a 70-200. Now, I didn't bring that with me because I'm here doing macro and I've got a macro lens. But what I did do was buy a step-up ring so that I could attach this to the macro, and from my understanding, it will turn my 1:1 ratio macro lens into a 2:1 macro lens. Years ago, before NiSi even dreamed of this, I think, I bought the similar thing from Vivitar, and this is, let's just say, not the best lens in the world. Does the same thing. You mount that into your filter ring and it will turn any lens into a macro lens. And back then, I think it was like 2015, I didn't have a macro lens. So this was the only option I had. It was incredibly difficult. But I want to show you first what this does before I get on to the NiSi version. Okay, so I need to somehow get that on. Hang on. There's a wide angle component to this as well. For such an old piece of kit, it actually looks pretty good. The Vivitar has this real softness to the edge, and it might actually be a really nice effect. I'm just going to take that picture as it is, f32, whatever it is, however many seconds. Oh, it's actually quite nice. That's really surprising. This was like the cheapest, nastiest thing I could find on the market back, what was it, nearly 10 years ago when I didn't have quite as much cash on hand. I'm actually really impressed. Wow. I mean, really, wow. So now that we've seen what that cheap kit can do, let's switch over to the NiSi and see if it's much better. This is the NiSi, you can tell by the silver. Well, there's one thing for sure, the Vivitar gets you closer. So let's push that out a little again. It does allow for a better composition. So the Vivitar gets you really close. So I would say it might even be 3:1, whereas this is purported to be 2:1. I couldn't tell for sure without measuring it up later. But what I do like is that I still get that context. So in here, you've still got the edge of this little cave with the grass in front, the moss in front. That is astounding. Give it a quick focus on the stem and do a 2-shot photo stack. I would say it's success, and I'll show you all 3 of those photos together. And I'm really looking for clarity when it comes to the NiSi. Who can resist a good cascade? So now we've tested the close-up lens from NiSi. Thought I'd try a few other things, kind of leveling up the macro photography. The first one, it's something that I may have talked about before, but it's something that you don't often think about when you're in the thick of it. When I did my interview with Tim Grimsey, we did touch on polarizing briefly. It's really important because if you watch through my camera here, you'll see I've got this little scene here, but there's all these really brightly reflected objects. If we turn that polarizer around, suddenly they're not such a distraction anymore, and you can really focus your attention on the subject at hand. Still have the close-up lens on, and mostly this isn't to get really highly detailed imaging. Actually so that I don't have to try to balance the camera too close to the subject. So I'm going to go ahead and take that shot, and then I'm going to show you something else that I don't think has really been done that often. It's a bit of an experiment. I don't know if it's going to work. Let's see if I'm smart or not. So whether it works or not, here is the picture. Here's the experiment I was talking about. It's my infrared filter. Now this is going to give me some super long exposures. I'm really intrigued to see just what an infrared filter will do with macro photography. Now, because it's infrared, I've got to change my white balance. So I'll do that first. Well, that is eerie. 7-minute exposure. So let's push the ISO up. 3200 is quite okay with infrared. And I'll take that foreground out and just focus on that main object. You know, I can't tell if it's in focus or not. I'm just going to close that aperture right down so that I get the biggest depth of field I can. And it's a 7-minute exposure, so I will see you on the other side. Wow, look at that. It's so ethereal. That is incredible. I've got my light down here and I didn't even think of using it. So I'm going to see how that works with the infrared. It might at least let me get it in focus properly, but it also might shorten the exposure. I'll give it a go and then I'll show you both pictures. Having the light up there has just made me think, well, maybe I should get the light onto it without the infrared. With the NiSi close-up lens. It's a really good price and I can get you an extra 5% off if you click the link in the description below. There is one designed specifically for macro lenses as well, which is a 49mm filter ring. When I was looking at it, they didn't have that one in stock, but they did have the other. And with the step-up ring, it's just as good. Maybe not as pretty though. Thanks again for coming out on one of my adventures. It's been a blast. If you enjoy these adventures I take, don't forget, hit the subscribe button and then I will see you on the next one.